Hello everybody, my name is Brandon. Welcome back to Cinefessions, where we talk all things media. So believe it or not, August is already upon us. I'm actually filming this on August 1st, which is unusual, I guess I'll say. I'll typically film my TBR and TBW videos a few days before the end of the month, but July just got away from me. I have no idea how that month ended up going by so fast, but it was a really good month in terms of media and otherwise, really. And so August, I'm hoping, will match up. So we're going to go over my to-be-read pile, so everything I plan to read, and then my TBW game will do that, as always, my letter and prompt game, to help figure out what it is that I'm going to watch next month. In between there, sandwiched in the middle, is going to be my ranking of last month's TBW options, too. So I'll talk about all three of the movies that ended up on my TBW game before I poll for the new month. So I love making these videos. I hope you guys really enjoy them. If you do, please give it a like down below. That really does help me out. But with that said, a nice quick intro. Let's not waste any more time at all. Let's dive right into my August 2021 TBR and TBW video. I know I don't talk about my TBR from the previous month ever in these videos, but I just want to put a word out there at the beginning of this. I do plan on picking back up with the everything I read in the previous month video and everything I watched in the previous month video. So you will get to hear about my the items that ended up on my TBR last month in an upcoming video, which hopefully won't be too far out, but we'll see. So first up here is a book that I actually just started yesterday. This is Goosebumps Series 2000. This is Bride of the Living Dummy, written by R.L. Stine. So I have kind of randomly started this Summer of Slappy thing. I read the first 3 Night of the Living Dummy books in, I guess, last month. Yeah, I guess I read all 3 last month. And so I want to continue on in the books that Slappy is a major character in. And so the next one is Bride of the Living Dummy. So I'm hoping to finish this one soon. I'm 25% of the way in already. This is the first of the bunch that I've never read previously. I have seen the show or the movie based on this book, but I've not actually read it. And frankly, I don't really remember it too much. So I'm hoping to finish that one in August. And then I'm going to jump over to, that is book number 3, Bride of the Living Dummy is book number 2 in the Goosebumps Series 2000. And then we'll jump over to book number 23, which is Slappy's Nightmare. So I believe this is the first one where Slappy is actually not the antagonist. I think he might be the protagonist in this one. So I'm very intrigued to check it out. Never read it. I don't really know anything about it other than that. And that was just based on the Wikipedia article I was reading in order to figure out what the next book in the series were. So I do own what would be after this as well, which I think is Revenge of Slappy, which is the next series in line, it might be Slappy's World even. I don't remember exactly, but yeah. So anyway, for August though, I'm focusing on these two. So Bride of the Living Dummy and then Slappy's Nightmare, both from the Goosebumps Series 2000 and both written by R.L. Stine. So those are the first 2 I'm hoping to complete in August. Sticking with my physical TBR, I do have a couple of graphic novels I'm hoping to complete, and both of these are volume 1s. And so they're both actually part of my 21 pieces of media to consume in 2021 list. And so I just want to wipe a couple of these out. And it also helps with my media goals too, as I talked about in my recent video. But anyway, this is Transmetropolitan volume 1. It's called Back on the Street, and this is a Warren Ellis novel, or graphic novel. So I know virtually nothing about this. Our main character is a journalist, and that's all I know. And frankly, I don't want to know anything else. I've spent all these years only knowing that. The reason I picked this up is because when I first started buying comics and graphic novels, I went into my local shop at the time, which was in a different city from here, or a different state, actually. And so I went in there and said, hey, do you have any recommendations for someone just looking for something different, something new? I've never read comics really before too much, and so what do you recommend? And this was one of his favorites of all time, and so I figured I'd pick it up and give it a shot. That was 2010 it had to be, 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. So now 11 to 12 years later, I'm finally going to get around to this one. So this is supposed to be just one of the more underrated graphic novels out there. So yeah, very intrigued to check this out. I love this quote on the back. It says, if you loved me, you'd all kill yourselves today. I don't know. That's very engaging. We're going to see what the heck this is all about. So Transmetropolitan, Volume 1, Back on the Street, written by Warren Ellis, is going to be the first of my graphic novel TBR. And the last one on my physical TBR is going to be another Volume 1 graphic novel. This is New Suicide Squad, and this is Pure Insanity is the name of Volume 1 here, and this is written by Sean Ryan, it looks like. So this is one that I kind of added by mistake. Like, I was thinking this was just like Suicide Squad, but it's a different team. It's New Suicide Squad, which I should have realized, but I was being dumb. And so I added this one on my list, so I'm going to finish it, and hopefully it's pretty good. I haven't really heard anything great about it, but we'll see. The art style looks really good. It's right up my alley. So I'm hoping I will get a kick out of it at least. And then once I'm done with this, I would really love to read Suicide Squad from this same line. I think this is New 52. But anyway, this is one that was on my 21 pieces to consume. So I'm going to do it. And this is episodes. This is issues 1 through 8 of this run here. So hopefully it's good. I do see Harley Quinn, which she's actually in the original Suicide Squad as well, I believe. So I don't know. We'll see if this one's any good or not. So New Suicide Squad, Volume 1, Pure Insanity, written by Sean Ryan. And that's going to wrap up my physical TBR. So now let's talk about my digital TBR. So for my digital TBR, I'm going to keep it extremely light this month because I was going through my audiobooks and I just don't know what I want to read next. But I am going to add Ready Player 2 by Ernest Cline on my digital TBR for the month of August. So I know I put Ready Player 1 on my TBW last month. Now, again, it wasn't my TBW game. It was just my extra TBW. But I actually decided to buy the 4K on that because the 4K is great. And I received it, but I never got around to watching it. So I will be watching Ready Player 1 on 4K in like the first couple weeks of the month, and then hopefully in the second half of the month I can get to Ready Player 2 in audiobook form. So that is one I'm definitely hoping to read. I love the original. It's one of my favorite books of all time, which I know so many people hate on it. Others love it. It's just so divisive, but I loved it. I had so much fun with it. And so I'm really excited for Ready Player 2, even though I hear virtually everybody saying that it's not nearly what the first one is. I honestly have no clue what the second book's about. I'm assuming it's just kind of more of the same, but we'll see when I get around to it. So I'm hoping to get to that one in August. And then I will also say that CJ Tudor's The Other People is one that will also end up being an August finish because I didn't finish it yesterday. So now it's August 1st. So I'm hoping to complete that in the next day or two here, but I'm really liking that. It started off rough, I'll be honest, but man, it's really fallen into itself. And so I'm really enjoying that. But again, I'll talk about that more when I do my wrap up for, I guess that would be August's wrap up. So in the next month or so here. But yeah, so those are really the only two that I'm hoping to complete. I know I'm going to read more audiobooks. When I was going through my list, nothing was jumping out at me and saying, like, screaming, add me to your list, add me to your list. So I'm just going to stick with the one for this month. And that's going to be it for, you know what? Also, let me mention, I did not get to Moon Knight Volume 1 last month on Marvel Unlimited. I started reading it, but I only read like 2 or 3 pages and then crazy things were happening around me. So I had to stop and I just never got back to it. So I will probably try to get into that one as well. So to recap this super all over the place digital TBR, I want to finish The Other People by CJ Tudor. I want to finish Moon Knight Volume 1 on Marvel Unlimited. And then finally, I'm adding Ready Player 2 by Ernest Cline to my list. So that is going to be it for my TBR. So now let's jump over and let's rank my TBW game options from last month. So last month, I had 3 really good options on my TBW game, and I enjoyed all of them. So at number 3, I'm going to put Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, which is represented in the Wolfman Complete Legacy Collection. And the reason it's in this is because the Wolfman plays a major role in that, as does Dracula. So yeah, I don't know why they chose Frankenstein. Maybe he was the most marketable. I have no idea. But yeah, this is a good movie. I've seen this one before, and I liked it. I think about the same. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Both times I watched it, I believe. It's just a funny, lighthearted, good mix of these Universal monsters with Abbott and Costello, which frankly, this is the only Abbott and Costello I've ever seen. So to me, they felt very Three Stooges. They almost felt like a Three Stooges knockoff. I watched Three Stooges when I was younger. I've not seen it recently, but some of like the noises they were making and just the gestures were very straight from Three Stooges. So yeah, I don't know. They're funny though. So they're good at what they do. So anyway, represented here with the Wolfman collection, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, I'm putting at number 3 on my list with 3.5 out of 5 stars. Number 2 and number 1, I had such a hard time with. Like, they could go either way, frankly, but I'm going to put them in this order today. So number 2 on my list is going to be The Fog by John Carpenter. And this was a rewatch to me, and I didn't like this movie at all the first time I watched it. I really enjoyed it this time around. I really appreciated it for what it was doing. It just has a really creepy atmosphere to it. The location is beautiful where they filmed this. It looked wonderful on this Blu-ray from Scream Factory. Just the creatures in the fog looked really cool this time around, I thought. I really enjoyed this one quite a bit. So I ended up giving The Fog 4 out of 5 stars, and that one's going to end up at number 2 on my list. And my favorite one from the list has to be Terminator 2. So I ended up rewatching Terminator last month at the beginning of the month, and I really loved it. I don't know what I was watching the first time. I just wasn't in the mood, or I don't know. I just didn't like it the first time I watched it, but I loved it on this repeat, this second viewing. And so the reason I watched that is to then get into Terminator 2, which I thoroughly enjoyed as well. I ended up watching the longer director's cut, I guess, the extended edition. And so yes, it was lengthy, but honestly, it didn't really feel that long to me. Like, I was engaged throughout the entire thing. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. Now, I know many people call this like the greatest sequel of all time, and I don't know that I would agree with that. Like, I like the movie a lot. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was great. It's definitely one I plan to watch again. But to me, like, Aliens is still a better sequel to Alien than T2 to Terminator. I don't know. Maybe that's controversial. I have no idea. But I don't know. This was a great movie, so I'm not trying to take anything away from it. I just don't think I'd put it in, like, an S tier, I guess. Top of the top or best of the best. But yeah, it's still a great movie. Schwarzenegger is fantastic in this. I love the interaction with him and Edward Furlong's character, the whatever he is, like 14-year-old boy. Like, it's just fun to watch. And I didn't expect kind of that twist at the beginning at all. I don't know, it was a really good movie. I thoroughly enjoyed this. So this one, like I said, I gave 4 out of 5 stars, and that one's going to end up as my favorite watch from last month's TBW game. Okay, so with July behind us now, let's go over the rules real quick, just in case this is your first time here. Let's go over the rules of my letter and prompt TBW game, and then we can finally get playing. So first up, what I do is draw a letter from my Scrabble bag here. There are 28 tiles in here, 2 blank tiles, and then letters A through Z. And then I select a prompt from my deck of cards that have prompts written on them. So then I have to choose a film that begins with whatever letter I chose with that prompt that I ended up picking. And then there are a few rules that go along with that pick. 1, I have to pick a physical media pick from my collection. And then it is recommended, it's preferred that it's an unwatched film for my collection, but I can rewatch something if I choose to. And then finally, if I can't actually match that letter with that prompt, I would then work my way down the alphabet until something matches. The first letter that matches is the letter I'd have to use. The letter goes back into the bag and I can pick it again. And then the prompt stays out. I think here it says for the next month, but it really just stays out until I decide to put them back in, which there's only like, I don't know, 9 or so, maybe 10 prompts back in here. So I'm planning on going through all of those before I start over again, just to make it more fun and to get different prompts every month. And then the big thing at the end is whatever I don't watch, I have to unhaul. And so that's what the motivation is to watch these movies in the given month. If I pick that same letter a second time, then that becomes the director's first or last name. And I think that's pretty much everything. If anything pops up as I'm going through, I'll explain it as I go. But with that said, let's do this, guys. Let's pick the first letter here for my August TBW game. And good. All right. I like how we're starting off. It is blank. Oh, you know what I didn't mention is that Joker. So if I pull a Joker, that is basically a save for me. So I already have one that I pulled a few months ago. So if for whatever reason I didn't get to one of my films in my letter and prompt game, the next month I can cash in my Joker card and then I don't have to get rid of it. So it just acts as a save. And there's one more in the deck. But yeah, so that is a blank tile. So now let's shuffle these guys up real quick because there's so few. I don't have to shuffle too much and see what prompt that's going to match up with. I think that's good enough. All right, what do we have here? A boutique label pick, Asylum. Okay, so 2 months ago I watched something from Asylum, and so we're going to do that again. So now I have to pick virtually any film from my collection from the Asylum because it's a blank letter. So let me see what I end up picking. Okay, so I got lucky with a blank tile here and an Asylum pick. So I ended up choosing one that is one I've wanted to see for quite a while, and it looks really cool. This is The Hitchhiker, and this one is directed by Lee Scott, and it's from 2007. So this is actually the mockbuster of The Hitcher from 2007. The Sophia Bush and Sean Bean, I believe, are starring in that one. The remake of The Hitchhiker. So yeah, that's why this one was made, and so I am really intrigued to check it out. I love their mockbusters, and yeah, there's actually special features on here, director's commentary, a making of, 2 music videos, and bloopers. Like, that's awesome. So yeah, you can see the Asylum logo there on the bottom. Yeah, so this should be a lot of fun. So the first one on my August TBW is going to be the Asylum's The Hitchhiker from 2007. So the blank will go back in the bag. I guess, like, if I pick it again, it doesn't really change anything because it could be virtually any film from the prompt. But either way, it's back in. So we go from the super easy one to a difficult one. So the letter Q. So now let me grab my cards here and see what Q is going to match up with. There's so few, so it takes very little shuffling. All right, let's see what we got. Watch the shortest film in your physical collection from the selected letter. Okay, so I'm looking for the shortest film in my physical collection, which I guess we have to like keep it a feature-length film. So I guess, like, what's that, 45 minutes or more? So we'll see what I can find from the letter Q. Now, this is an instance where I might have to move down to letter R, S. I guess technically, though, it's just whatever the shortest film from the letter Q in my collection is. Yeah, so let's see what that is. So here is an instance that the shortest film in my collection that starts with the letter Q is actually A Quiet Place at 90 minutes. But I've watched that one already, and just last year, actually, and it stuck with me, so I really remember it. So instead of watching that one again, instead, I'm going to go to the second longest one at 92 minutes, and we're actually going to move over to the Shout Factory collection. This is Q, the Winged Serpent. So this looks just bonkers. What year is this? This is from 1982. You can see the back there. And apparently, like, the Q, this giant dragon, ends up being summoned somehow and ends up in, like, modern day Manhattan. So this should be just ridiculous fun. I cannot wait to watch this. I've had this one in my collection for a long time now. David Carradine's actually in this one too, so that's interesting. Yeah, this should be a lot of fun. So we're gonna check this one out finally. The second shortest film in my collection that begins with the letter Q. Q, the Winged Serpent. So cannot wait to watch this film from 1982. That'll be the second one on my TBW. Okay, so Q is back in the bag. We have one more to go. Let's get a good letter here. Let's see what we got. Oh my goodness, I picked a blank again. How crazy. I've never picked 2 blanks in one video. I think that's actually like the second and third blank I've ever picked, period, while playing this game. And so that's fun. All right, so let's see. So technically that means it's a director's first or last name, but it really doesn't matter because it can be any movie from whatever prompt this one is. Let's see here. Watch a Blu-ray disc from your collection. So this is as wide open as it gets. I simply have to watch any movie from my Blu-ray collection. So let's see what I put on here. Okay, so that was the most wide open option I have ever had on this game before, and it worked out. So I try to be smart about it rather than just picking some random movie, and I looked at my 21 pieces of media to consume list, and there were a couple movies on there that I own on Blu-ray, so they worked perfectly. And finally, you guys, it is finally time that I am watching the 1978 version of Superman directed by Richard Donner, the late, great Richard Donner at that. I cannot wait. Finally, I'm going to get to this one. There are like 6 movies on my media to consume list for this year. And this will be the first one I actually watch off that list. And the fact that I can stick it in my TBW game is just so much better to me. So yeah, I have the complete anthology here, which I believe has 1 through 4 and then Superman Returns. And so I've never watched any of those before. I'm finally going to start this and I cannot tell you how excited I am. So the Superman anthology is representing Superman from 1978, directed by Richard Donner. And that's going to be the last film on August's TBW. Look at that TBW, you guys. This runs the gamut from action, horror, fantasy, sci-fi, whatever this one's going to end up being. Like, this is a really interesting month. At least to me, it's a really interesting month of movie watching. So I cannot wait. Plus all of my TBR listed here as well. These are the easiest 2 to access, so I'll show these. A couple Goosebumps books, this month should be a heck of a lot of fun, and I cannot wait to get started. So let me know down in the comments below, what are you guys watching, reading, playing, consuming in the month of August? I would love to hear what you guys are up to this month, so please leave those comments down below. I really appreciate all that support. As always, if you guys did enjoy this video, please give it a like down below. That really does help me out. And like I always say, I don't just stick to one thing media. I talk all things media, be it books, movies, video games, collectibles. If it's media related, I'm interested in it. And if you are too, you might consider subscribing. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for today. I just want to say thank you all so much for watching. And I want to encourage you to consume some media today. I'll catch you next time.